Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Monday, April 4, 2016. Join us in the next 45 minutes as we deliver today's top stories around the globe. I'm Angelo, Castro III.
We are here to give you carefully gathered stories, assuring you of accurate, truthful, and balanced newscast. I'm Angela Lagunsad, sitting in for Gerry Alcantara.
We are also seen in 1,360 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through www.untvweb.com. And this is Y News. Here are the headlines. The Philippine National Police has filed charges against protesters who attacked members of the Civil Disturbance Management Unit in Kidapawan City. The Department of Budget and Management did not grant more than 2 billion additional El Niño Intervention Fund for agriculture. The Philippines intensified its defense cooperation with other nations, which aims to maintain security in the Southeast Asian region.
Department of Health begins anti-dengue vaccination to more than 1 million grade 4 pupils nationwide. And airline companies have no responsibility over canceled flights caused by brownout in NAIA.
First in the news, the Philippine National Police has filed charges against protesters who stoned and mauled police personnel during the violent clash in Kidapawan City. John Nano will tell us why.
Senior Superintendent Alex Tagum of Cotabato Police led the filing of complaints against the 43 individuals arrested in a clearing operations at Kidapawan Highway last Friday. The arrested farmers from the town of Arakan, Antipas, President Rojas and Magpet are now facing charges of economic sabotage, harassment, obstruction of traffic and illegal assembly. PNP Chief Police Director General Ricardo Marquez said the video footage clearly showed how the policemen were stoned and mauled when they tried to disperse the rallyists.
It's because yung isang police namin unconscious pa hanggang ngayon. Yung isang police namin may tama ng bala sa lulod. Nagpunta mga police doon in consonance with the order of the local crisis management committee because of the complaints of so many people already.
Overall, there were 99 policemen injured, with one who passed out during the clash. Marquez says they are conducting thorough investigation on the incident, specifically noting the presence of an empty shell of a .45 caliber pistol beside the killed protester, who also tested positive in the paraffin test.
Positive sa paraffin test yung namatay na protesta. Sa katabi niya merong cartridge shell ng caliber .45 pistol, hindi standard issue ng police. May slug doon sa kinalalagyan ng mga pulis ko.
High finance ito, transporting people from other provinces, dinala doon. Sila sinong key leaders na nagsabi, these are things that should be subjected to the investigation. Who told the people may mamimigay ng bigas? That is the very reason why marami ang sumamang iba, no?
Interior Secretary Melson Sarmiento is asking the Commission on Human Rights to be fair in its investigation and to also look into or consider the rights of the police. Sarmiento added that among the incidents, 2 fatalities. One died from heat stroke while another from a head injury he probably sustained after being hit by a stone and not from gunshot wounds as earlier reports alleged. Joanna reporting for Y News.
The violence that transpired during the dispersal of protesting farmers in Kidapawan City last Friday proved to be more brazen. Joy Domingo will tell us why.
Authorities have identified the 3 people who were killed at the violent dispersal of barricading farmers clamoring for 15,000 sacks of rice last Friday at Kidapawan City. Number of reported wounded from both the protesters and the police force have significantly increased. Farmers Rotelio de Elto, Victor Lumandag, and Enrico Pabrica were killed, while over 100 others, including 9 minors, were wounded or reported missing. El Nino is said to be the reason for the lack of rice harvests in the region since January of this year, prompting the province to declare a state of calamity ever since. According to provincial agriculturist Eliseo Mangliwan, over 27,000 hectares of farmlands in North Cotabato are suffering from water shortage and rat infestation because of El Nino. Agricultural damage, if totaled, can reach up to 200 million pesos. However, in spite of the declaration, farmers have denied receiving any help, much less rice subsidy or assistance from the provincial government. UNTV News awaits the comment of Provincial Governor Emilio Lala Talino Mendoza on the issue.
Actually, I am the spokesperson of North Cotabato, but I am given instruction not to give any information except the provincial director and the governor.
According to one of the farmers who refused to be identified, they were only convinced to leave their farming communities after being promised that rice will be available in Kidapawan City in approximately 3 days. They were unaware of any protest actions.
Ingon po ako, magulang yun siya. Tuyog na kayo na daw bugas ito sa Kidapawan, pansi kagawad.
Bay Ali Indayla, a member of the Gabriela Women's Party List, said before the dispersal happened, she pleaded with Chief of Police of the PNP Region 12, Colonel Alex Tagum, but the colonel did not heed her pleas.
Sabi po ni Colonel Tagum sa akin, wala nang negosasyon kasi matigas ang ulo niyo, ayaw niyo umalis dyan. Pagbilang niya ng 5, sinabihan niya ng kanyang mga tauhan na clear the way. At bumabante na po yung mga kapulisan. Gumiit yung mga magsasaka, nakipagtulakan. Pero ginamitan ng batuta, ginamitan na ng bumbero.
Congressman Nery Colmenares, who was in the area on the day following the alleged violent dispersal with action star Robin Padilla, criticized the refusal of the provincial government to give rice to the hungry farmers and offered to extend their help to the latter.
Nakapagtataka na hanggang ngayon marami pa ring na may mga na-detain pa, may search warrant pa, pero yung bigas wala.
Both the police force and the militants alleged to file cases against each other, while the hungry farmers clamoring only for rice remain the collateral damage. From Davao City, Joey Domingo reporting for Y News.
The Department of Budget and Management has not granted the request of the Department of Agriculture for additional El Nino Intervention Fund worth 2.11 billion. Grace Cassin will tell us why.
Effect of El Nino phenomenon in the country's agriculture might be minimized if the additional budget requested by the Department of Agriculture from the Department of Budget and Management had been granted. Agriculture Undersecretary Emerson Palad said the El Nino damage has become wider, prompting them to ask for additional of 2.11 billion pesos for El Nino intervention. Prior to this, the department already had an amount of 3.6 billion pesos that they used for subsidies like construction of shallow deep wells, building and repair of irrigations, cloud seeding operations, and seed distribution. The DBM said they have already advised the DA and other agencies to maximize their resources like the Quick Response Fund El Nino Intervention. The QRF serves as a standby fund to stabilize the condition of communities in areas under a state of calamity. The DA said they're using the QRF but it's not enough to implement their programs.
I'm sure po malaki po nagawa natin na kung nabigyan po tayo kaagad ng budget.
Meanwhile, the department assures that they have done their best to help the areas in North Cotabato, which is also affected by El Nino. Palad said Secretary Proceso Alcala frequently visits the province to see what assistance he can provide. But providing food assistance is not part of the department's mandate anymore because it is the responsibility of other agencies already. One of the department's functions is to provide assistance for crop production. A few days ago, farmers in Kidapawan, North Cotabato held protests asking for rice subsidy. Grace Cassin reporting for Y News.
The Department of Health already began the administration of free anti-dengue vaccination today among more than 1 million grade 4 students from public schools within Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon region. Joan Nano will tell us why.
The Department of Health launched earlier today the first ever dengue school-based immunization program to more than 1 million grade 4 students in public schools. Among the recipients of free dengue vaccines are students from Metro Manila, Central Luzon, and Calabarzon region. The official launch of the program was held earlier today in Parang Marikina Elementary School, wherein 250 students were vaccinated. The first shot of the vaccine will be given starting this month until June 2016, while the second shot is set to be given in October to December 2016, and the third shot in April to June 2017. DOH insists that it is important to complete 3 doses of this vaccine to ensure immunization from dengue. Based on the study of experts, if a person has completed the anti-dengue vaccine, immunity from the disease will last within 5 years upon vaccination.
It will be measured as the years come. And in the case of vaccination, a child that is protected, pag kinagat siya ng lamok, ibig sabihin hindi siya nahawa, you actually eliminate one source of infection. There is an effect in terms of cutting transmission.
In her speech earlier, Health Secretary Janet Garin explained that the vaccine is effective and safe to use, so the parents have nothing to worry about. Based on the records of DOH, more than 17,000 grade 4 pupils have been given anti-dengue vaccine, and only 27 experienced mild side effects such as fever and headache, which according to experts are normal in children who are being vaccinated. Despite the controversies on the vaccine's quality, some parents still avail the vaccination for their children.
Kumbaga sa kapakanan din ng anak ko yun na mabago na para makaiwas sa sakit. Libre na po siya para sa kalusugan na po talaga nila yan.
Joanna reporting for Y News.
United States of America Defense Secretary Ash Carter will observe some parts of the Balikatan Exercises 2016. Meanwhile, the Philippines intensifies defense cooperation with other nations to maintain security in Southeast Asian region. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The 32nd iteration of the military exercise Balikatan between Philippines and United States of America formally opened at the Armed Forces of the Philippines General Headquarters today. Aside from 5,000 U.S. personnel and 3,500 personnel of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, this year 80 personnel of the Australian Defence Force will also take part in Balikatan. We'll be observing our military troops from 8 other nations, namely Japan, Australia, Brunei, Canada, Malaysia, New Zealand, South Korea, Thailand, Timor-Leste, and Vietnam. U.S. Exercise Director Lieutenant General John Tulan said the cooperation of countries is important in maintaining security in the Southeast Asian region.
Capacity building in Southeast Asia among the neighbors, the Philippine neighbors, is very, very important, and it's a primary goal of ours to bring them together as quickly and as soon as possible.
One of the highlights of the military exercise is the utilization of high-mobility artillery rocket system, which will be done for the first time in Balikatan. In line with this, for the very first time as well, U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter himself will be observing some parts of the military exercises. Lieutenant General Tulan stressed this is to affirm the commitment of America to the Philippines regarding defense cooperation.
And I believe that really his main purpose here is just to come and reaffirm the relationship we have with the Philippines is rock solid, and we're side by side.
Balikatan will be held for 11 days and will formally end on April 15, 2016. Though AFP keeps on insisting that the military exercise Balikatan has nothing to do with the maritime dispute in the West Philippine Sea, it is among the primary concerns the armed forces are preparing for through various exercises.
The BK exercise is designed not to address a particular concern, but a whole lot in the spectrum of warfare. And our design this year is progressive. Like we are having an internal strife, then we try to move as the crisis worsens, and we try to develop how we, the armed forces especially, would handle it. And if we cannot already handle it, how can we involve or invoke our alliance with, for example, with the United States?
Rosalie Cos reporting for Y News.
President Benigno Aquino III criticized the previous administration anew in connection with the procurement of new fire trucks and patrol jeeps. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
President Benigno Aquino III witnessed the turnover of new units of fire trucks and patrol jeeps to the Philippine National Police at Quezon Memorial Circle early this morning. In his speech, he compared the current status of the Philippine National Police and Bureau of Fire Protection under his administration as opposed to their condition under the previous administration. Also, he questioned the previous administration's procurement of fire trucks.
Kulang na nga ang fire trucks, karamihan pa sa mga tangan natin lumang-luma at kakarag-karag. Siyempre, dulot ito, palyadong serbisyo na higit na nailalapit sa peligro ang ating mga boss.
The President said his administration is doing all efforts toward the modernization of PNP and BFP facilities and equipment for the effective execution of their mandates.
Ang gusto ko po idin sa lahat ng ito, kita ang layo ng ating narating para sa BFP at PNP dito sa Daang Matuwid. Tapos na nga po yung panahong bahala kayo sa buhay nyo. Ngayon talaga binibigyan lakas na kayo ng gobyerno to pa rin ang inyong mandato.
135 units of fire trucks were distributed by the President to cities and municipalities. This is apart from the second batch that was already distributed last year and the third batch of 155 units of fire engines distributed last February 9. This is considered as the biggest procurement under the Bureau of Fire Protection with a total of 469 units of fire trucks worth 2.5 billion pesos. Meanwhile, additional 144 new units of patrol jeeps have also been turned over to the Philippine National Police. This is part of the 186 units repeat order taken from the savings earned at the purchase of 1,470 patrol jeeps under the Capability Enhancement Program Fund from 2011 to 2013.
Magandang pagkakataon po ito dahil kasalukuyan po nating pinaiigting ang police presence and focus police operations ngayong election period.
Nel Maribuhok reporting for Y News.
Vice presidential candidates are gearing up for the first vice presidential debate on Sunday, April 10. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
The first vice presidential debate is set to take place at the University of Santo Tomas in Manila on Sunday. The debate will reveal the platform of governments of Vice Presidentiables Chis Escudero, Bongbong Marcos, Alan Peter Cayetano, Antonio Trillanes IV, Gringo Honasan, and Congresswoman Leni Robredo. Cayetano says the Commission on Elections is now setting up the rules of the scheduled debate on Sunday.
Ang preparation mo naman sa debate is more of how to say your platform in shorter period of time. Pero kung sa debate, doon ka palang magre-review, hindi ka handang tumakbo.
For his part, Senator Marcos says he is ready should the debate heats up.
Kailangan paghanda mo lahat eh. Hindi mo talaga masasabi na kung ano yung itatanong. Madalas sa ganyan, kahit naman sa yung pangkaraniwan na interview, mayroong mga lumalabas na tanong na hindi mo na-anticipate. Hopefully sa pagdebate ay ma-anticipate namin lahat ng tanong.
Senator Antonio Trillanes IV is ready as well, and he is hoping that the voters would consider the debate as their basis in voting a vice presidential candidate. Meanwhile, the presidentiables are busy with their respective campaign sorties in the various parts of the country. Vice President Jejo Marbinay went to Lubao, Santa Rita, San Fernando, Northville Resettlement Area in Santo Tomas, and San Vicente Resettlement Area in Apalit, Pampanga. Senator Grace Poe held a Thanksgiving rally in Valenzuela City. Davao City Mayor Rodrigo Duterte went to Dumaguete City while admin standard bearer Mar Rojas visited Surigao del Sur and Agusan del Sur. Senator Miriam Santiago has no schedule of sortie today. Rosalie Cos reporting for Y News.
The National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or NAMFREL, proposes desynchronization of the national and local elections. Victor Cosare will tell us why.
The Philippines currently adopts synchronized elections between the national and local levels. This compels voters to think of more than 30 names to vote, which can be time-consuming. According to the pre-election assessment mission created by the National Citizens Movement for Free Elections, or NAMFREL, it is high time to desynchronize the schedule of elections for the national level from the local elections. The group says the synchronized election for national and local candidates usually disregards issues of local concern because the voters are more focused on the national candidates. The proposal would also help minimize the campaign spendings among candidates in the national level.
Normally, one reason why elections are very expensive, so many are unopposed, like you said, because those running for, let us say, the Senate, the local candidates will go, I'll carry you. You give me some campaign money.
However, according to NAMFREL, the proposal is not possible without amending the Constitution. Thus, the group suggests a national dialogue about the issue. The COMELEC has signified its intention to study the possibility of desynchronizing the national and local elections after the election in May in order to minimize the voting period.
Sang-ayon ako doon na masyadong masalimuot yung ating proseso ng halalan. Sa aking palagay, dapat yung national election ay iba doon sa local. At yun ding termino dapat nating pag-aralan. Sa aking palagay, yung 3 taon para sa ating mga local officials ay masyadong maiksi. Siguro sa pagkapangulo, pwede rin nating isipin kung maayos yung 6 or kaya pwede nating kopyahin yung sa Estados Unidos wherein 4-year term but you can get re-elected for a 2nd term.
Aside from desynchronization of the national and local elections, NAMFREL also suggests a runoff elections or a repeat election should there be tight results between 2 presidential and vice presidential candidates.
Then you know that the winner has really the mandate of the majority.
As regard the coming elections, NAMFREL is closely monitoring the aspects of transmission of election results from precincts. In 2010, 9% of the precincts were not able to transmit the results, while 23% of the precincts likewise failed to do so in 2013.
I wish they will do a dry run in specifically critical areas like the arm.
Even so, NAMFREL praised COMELEC's move to launch a website where they can publish the election results from precincts so that the public can compare. Victor Cosare reporting for Y News.
The Commission on Elections will not be able to resolve on Election Day complaints that may be lodged by voters should they find issues in their voters' receipt. Victor Cosare tells us why.
The Commission on Elections has yet to release its amended general instructions for Board of Election Inspectors after the Supreme Court ruled to compel the poll body to issue voters' receipts. However, to protect the sanctity of a voter's vote, the Board of Election Inspector manning the vote counting machine must stand behind the machine. The election worker will be the one to cut the receipt from the VCM, but before cutting the receipt, he or she has to fold it first so as not to see its content. Indelible ink will be placed on the voter's index finger before the receipt is handed to him or her.
Pinag-iisipan, pinag-aaralan ng komisyon kung magdadagdag pa ng step after that. One of the possibilities is that after niya ma-detach yung receipt, maaring pirmahan nung ating BEI or nung ating election worker yung resibong na-fold at nagupit. Iniisip nating pipirmahan kasi maaring ma-authenticate ngayon yung resibo kung may pirma niya.
The voter will leave the vote counting machine to give way to the next voter. The voter will then proceed to a designated box where he or she will deposit the receipt because taking it out of the precinct is prohibited. Should a voter finds a discrepancy in the receipt, he or she can lodge a complaint before the BEI. However, the poll body stressed that complaints will just be noted and cannot be resolved.
Kasi meron din tayong rule na bawal buksan yung ballot box habang kasalukuyang nagaganap yung botohan. Una. Pangalawa, kapag nahulog na yung balota mo doon sa loob ng ballot box, hindi mo na malalaman kung alin yung balota mo. Ang punto ng resibo ay nakita niya kung paano binasa ng makina yung kanyang boto.
COMELEC is still studying if receipts can be used for protest after polls. Meanwhile, the COMELEC conducted a special demonstration on how the VCMs operate before the members of the diplomatic community. Most questions raised were related on what actions will COMELEC take should there be issues raised on the voters' receipts. Victor Cosare reporting for Y News.
In other news, airline companies are not accountable for canceled flights of passengers due to a power outage problem at NAIA last Saturday. Monokson tells us why.
More than 100 flights were canceled and thousands of passengers were affected by the 5-hour power outage in NAIA last Saturday. This is Carol. She has been staying for 2 days at Terminal 3 because her flight was rebooked this evening. Carol had asked for curtains that they can use as beddings for her family. The airline company has not offered them any refreshments, food, or accommodation.
Obligasyon nila kami as their passengers. Ang problema, manhid. Ang mga crew ng Cebu Pacific, they do not know how to handle problems such as this.
But one good thing, she doesn't have to pay for the rebooking of her flight because Cebu Pacific gave it for free. Civil Aeronautics Board said the 5-hour power outage is considered as a force majeure or events beyond the control of airline companies. Based on the Passenger Bill of Rights, airline companies are not responsible for this kind of unexpected events.
And according to the existing regulations, the airlines are not bound or not required to rebook or to reimburse passengers, no?
The board said airline companies initiated to offer a full refund and did not charge a rebooking fee to passengers even if they are not responsible for it.
Ang mga airlines naman natin are responsible enough to honor the tickets. So, ang Cebu Pacific, siguro mga 80 flights yung affected. So, ang aking na-receive na report, mga more than 100 flights na rin yung na-cancel. Ano? They are rebooking and they're honoring the tickets.
But for affected passengers, the Transportation Department must act on it.
Ang DOTC.
DOTC.
Saan ang DOTC? Saan ang DOTC? Wala. Wala man lang pakialam sila. Wala. Supposedly, nandito sila eh. Kasi hindi lang naman isa, 10 tao, 20 katao ang apektado dito.
As of now, the Manila International Airport Authority has not given any statements today. A press conference is set tomorrow afternoon to answer queries regarding the power outage. Mon Hokson reporting for Y News.
Motorists are experiencing moderate to heavy traffic along EDSA. Monokson is at EDSA North Avenue to tell us why live. Mon, go ahead.
Yeah, Angela, many motorists are also in heavy traffic, especially in EDSA and in Makati and Pasay area this rush hour Monday. Let us check the traffic situation. Vehicles going north, starting from Taft Avenue in Pasay, will experience moderate to heavy traffic. Moderate traffic also approaching Malibay, Pasay, and Evangelista Makati, and moderate to heavy traffic in Magallanes Interchange. After Magallanes Interchange, vehicles will slow down in Ayala until Guadalupe Orense in Makati. Moderate to heavy traffic in Pioneer Mandaluyong, EDSA Shaw Boulevard, Mega Mall, and in EDSA White Plains. Light to moderate traffic in Cubao, but moderate traffic starting from Nia Road at the Quezon Avenue flyover all the way to North Avenue. Traffic will also slow down approaching in EDSA North Avenue up to Muñoz area. Meanwhile, vehicles going south will encounter light to moderate traffic starting from EDSA Monumento until Balintawak. Moderate traffic approaching Muñoz area. Vehicles making a U-turn in Muñoz going Congressional is causing traffic for southbound vehicles. Moderate heavy traffic from Bansalangin to North Avenue all the way to EDSA Quezon Avenue and Nia Road. While vehicles will slow down approaching Kamuning flyover and also in Cubao area, especially on the yellow lane. Moderate to heavy traffic in Annapolis going Ortigas area. Moderate traffic also in Mega Mall and slowing down in EDSA Crossing, Boni and Pioneer Mandaluyong all the way to Makati and Pasay area. Reminders to motorists, number coding is implemented tomorrow starting from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. All vehicles with plate numbers ending in numbers 3 and 4 is prohibited in all major roads in Metro Manila, except in the city of Makati and Las Piñas where the window hours is not implemented. That's the latest in traffic. Back to you, Angelo.
Thank you, Monokson, reporting live from EDSA North Avenue. Junket operator Kim Wong has again returned chunk of the laundered money amounting to 38.28 million pesos to the Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC today. According to Wong's lawyer, Attorney Victor Fernandez, the said money was already abandoned by Shuhua Gao at Midas Casino under the Hawaii Leisure Company. Gao is one of the two Chinese businessmen that Wong mentioned involved in laundering $81 million from Bangladesh. Witnessing the turnover were AMLAC Executive Director Julia Bakay Abad, Emmanuel Dook, and Bangladesh Ambassador John Gomez. The AMLAC is now processing the formal turnover of the recovered cash to the Bangladesh government.
Y News will be right back.
Y News would like to thank the following.
So ngayon, ibig sabihin, kulang tayo dun sa pulisiya.
Opo, yan po yung kailangan natin, no?
Kung halimbawa nagkakaroon ng shortage, kayo pala may kasalanan.
Ha?
A simple cut can be a port of entry of harmful germs that can cause illnesses. That is why wound care is very vital. Experts will share a full dose of wound care solutions, plus the state-of-the-art ways of fast wound healing. This Tuesday, 7 p.m., with replays every Sunday, 7 in the morning.
The graft case of Cedric Lee before the Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division will now proceed to trial. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The Sandigan Bayan 3rd Division has arraigned Cedric Lee today. He pleaded not guilty to charges of graft and malversation of public funds. This is in relation to the anomalous advance payments amounting to 14 million and 23 million pesos given by the local government of Bataan to lease company Izumo Contractors Incorporated. These were intended for the construction of the Mariveles Public Market in 2005. According to the information filed by the Ombudsman, Lee and then Mayor of Mariveles, Bataan, Angel Peliglorio, conspired to favor lease company and for funds to be utilized in the project. However, the investigation revealed that the project did not even start after payment to Lee. Earlier today, Lee's camp tried to dismiss the case, stating that his right to speedy disposition of the case was violated when the Office of the Ombudsman took years before filing the case. Later on, the camp withdrew their motion and decided to push through with their arraignment.
Na-realize ko na nagre-review ako ng case, medyo may katagalan pala bago i-resolve ng Ombudsman. It's a ground kasi na dapat within certain period of time lang ma-resolve, hindi ni-resolve. Pinoint out ni Presiding Justice na dapat to sinabay ko na doon sa una. So as not to prolong the case, dahil gusto din naman naming matapos yung case na to and to prove his innocence, we just decided na i-withdraw na lang yung motion and have him arraigned.
Cedric Lee's camp has tried many times before to dismiss the case at the Sandigan Bayan on the basis that the prosecution camp has failed to present strong evidence against him. However, the court denied his motions and ordered the case to proceed to trial. Joyce Balancho reporting for Y News.
The two-week blackout that hit the island garden city of Samal has finally come to an end. Joey Domingo will tell us why.
The blackout in Samal Island, which has been ongoing for more than 2 weeks, was finally resolved with the turning on of the modular genset last Friday afternoon on the island. This genset will supply energy to the whole island after a 2-week brownout due to the destruction of submarine cables, which were allegedly hit by the anchor of MV Ecuador vessel.
So for the past 3 days, ito na po yung nangyari. Complete na, natapos na yung pag-assemble natin. Now, ready na siya for operation.
The entire island was deprived of electricity for more than 2 weeks when an anchor of a commercial ship accidentally hooked itself on the submarine cable, which was the primary source of energy in the island. The gensets shall produce 7.5 megawatts as against the demand of 5.5 megawatts for the entire island. Guya adds, even if the entire region of Mindanao experiences blackout, Samal Island will be well lit because of this more than sufficient supply. The power distributor is also preparing to file charges against MV Ecuador vessel because of the damages on their electrical cables. Samal Babak District Councilor Dan Hervasio says Samaleños are always being put through too much distraught whenever there is a total blackout for long periods of time.
Kung mag-prolong pa itong power blackout natin, it will frustrate the economy development of Island Garden City of Samal. So yung mga beach owner natin, malaking problema sa kanila, no, malaking bagsak ng ekonomiya natin dito. Walang ilaw, walang tubig.
From Davao City, Joey Domingo reporting for Y News.
The easterlies is affecting the eastern section of the country. Based on Pag-asa's forecast, Metro Manila and the rest of the country will experience partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms, especially in the eastern section. Hotter temperature is expected over northern Luzon and in Mindanao, particularly in Davao and Zamboanga. An investigation led by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists has reportedly resulted in the release of the so-called Panama Papers. Nunez, tell us why.
In Turkey, less than 24 hours before a European Union deal comes into effect, experts saw little chance of success for the controversial deal to return rejected asylum seekers to Turkey. Under the EU-Turkey deal, Ankara will take back all migrants and refugees, including Syrians, who enter Greece illegally in return for the EU taking in thousands of Syrian refugees directly from Turkey and rewarding it with more money, early visa-free travel, and progress in its EU membership negotiations. A former UNHCR spokesman for Turkey and president of the Research Center on Asylum and Migration, IGAM, Metin Chirabatir, said he was not expecting the deal to stop the flow, adding that there should be safeguards in Greece for asylum seekers who are in need of international protection. The returns are a key part of an agreement between the EU and Turkey aimed at ending the influx of migrants and refugees fleeing poverty and war in the Middle East, Asia, and Africa. In Panama, more than 11.5 million documents from the files of law firm Mossack Fonseca, based in the tax haven of Panama, were leaked on Sunday, revealing details of hundreds of thousands of clients. The documents are at the center of an investigation by the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists. The leaked, quote, Panama Papers, unquote, cover a period over almost 40 years from 1977 until as recently as last December, and allegedly show that some companies domiciled in tax havens were being used for suspected money laundering, arms and drug deals, and tax avoidance. And in Colombia, thousands of Colombians on Sunday took part in the Lender Leg 11,000 race in the capital of Bogota to honor the victims of the anti-personnel mines in the country. Landmines have been a central feature of Colombia's half-century-long internal conflict, pitting government forces against the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia and other guerrilla organizations. The explosions have claimed an estimated 11,400 casualties. Last March, the Colombian government and the leftist guerrillas agreed to remove landmines and other explosives from the battlefield as a sign of progress towards peace. The United Nations International Day for Mine Awareness and Assistance in Mine Action is marked annually on April 4. Ann Nunez reporting for Y News.
Brathwaite smashes West Indies to World T20 title. Meanwhile, Matt Wilkinson beats Jordy Smith to win the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach. Nel Maribuhok tells us why.
West Indies' Carlos Brathwaite smashed a remarkable 4 successive sixes in the last over as they beat England by 4 wickets to win their second World 2020 title on Sunday. Brathwaite's heroics alongside Marlon Samuels, who remained unbeaten on 85, saw West Indies, the 2012 champions, win with 2 balls to spare, sparking jubilant scenes at Eden Park. Put into bat, 2010 champions England rode Joe Root's 54 to post 155 for 9 wickets in their 20 overs as Dwayne Bravo and Brathwaite pick up 3 wickets apiece for West Indies. Meanwhile, Australia's Matt Wilkinson won the Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach on Sunday, beating South Africa's Jordy Smith in solid 6 to 8 foot waves at the iconic venue in the Australian state of Victoria. The Rip Curl Pro Bells Beach is the longest running professional surf event in the world and proved nothing short of historic, with Wilkinson's victory being the first for a goofy footer at Bells Beach in 17 years. Wilkinson unleashed his strong backhand to deliver vertical snaps, earning him a 9.20 and an 8.17, challenging Smith to find new scores halfway through the final. Smith finished with a 14.16 two-wave combined score, but it was not enough to beat the Australian 17.37 combined score. Nel Maribuhok, reporting for Y News.
An underwater art exhibition opens on an artificial reef in Key West, Florida. Meanwhile, space transportation company Blue Origin successfully launches and lands a suborbital rocket. Precious Ong tells us why.
Jeff Bezos' space transportation company Blue Origin successfully launched and landed for the 3rd time a suborbital rocket capable of carrying 6 passengers, taking another step on its path in developing reusable boosters. The new Shepard rocket and capsule blasted off from a launch site in West Texas on Saturday at an undisclosed time and landed minutes later back at a landing pad. The capsule, which was flying autonomously, parachuted to a nearby site and was recovered. Saturday's flight marks the 3rd successful launch and land for the rocket, with similar missions completed in January and November. Bezos, the founder of Amazon.com Inc., said earlier this month that Blue Origin expects to begin crewed test flights of the new Shepard next year and begin flying paying passengers as early as 2018. Meanwhile, an artificial reef in the Florida Keys has become a temporary gallery for a subsea art exhibition. Video released by the Florida Keys News Bureau shows divers hanging artwork on the 523-foot General Hoyt S. Vanderburg, the world's 2nd largest artificial reef located in the Florida Keys National Marine Sanctuary, about 7 miles south of Key West. Over the weekend, divers installed a dozen photo illustrations encased in plexiglass and mounted on silicone-sealed steel frames on the Vanderburg's weathered deck, more than 90 feet below the surface on the Atlantic Ocean, according to the Florida Keys News Bureau. The exhibition, a creation of Austrian art photographer Andreas Franke, is a sequel to the artist's Sinking World series, which debuted on the Vanderburg in 2011. 2 years after the former Air Force missile tracking ship was sunk as an artificial reef. Precious Ong reporting for Y News.
A rock ballad genre entitled Ang Iyong Pangalan hailed Song of the Week for the month of April in a Song of Praise or As of Music Festival Year 5 weekly eliminations last night. Ann Nunez tells us why.
Kasangbahays who are fond of alternative music will be delighted with the Song of the Week for April's A Song of Praise Music Festival this week. The song Ang Iyong Pangalan by an amateur composer, Romerico Mendiola Jr. of Tacloban City, was classified by judges Soul Diva Jaya, OPM Prince of Ballad Ding Dong Avanzado, and Dr. Musico Mondel Rosario as a rock ballad or slow rock.
Para dun sa nababagay tapos at saka ganun talaga yung yung genre ko, mga ganun na music. Kaya tapos nabagay pa kay Enzo kasi ang galing. Alternative din sa para nakita ko sa kanya bagay din yung pagkanta niya.
The song fits the singing style of band Evie's vocalist Enzo Villegas.
Ang EV parang alternative din, pero yung rock kasi nandun eh. So parang hindi ako masyado nahirapan.
So, sa'yo rin to, parang...
Oo, parang in-incorporate ko na rin, in-empathize ko na rin kung ano yung ng composer.
The song Bested, Handang Humayo by Christopher John Balangatan, sang by Celio Nunez. And My Lord of OFW Liza Lynn Pajo, sang by Jean Judith Javier.
Ang iyong pangalan, lahat ng tuwod luluhod. Ang iyong pangalan, aking sasambahin.
Ann Nunez reporting for Y News.
Those are the reasons behind the news, April 4, 2016. I'm Angelo, Castro III.
Reasons we delivered to you as they unfold. I'm Angela Lagunsad, sitting in for Gerry Alcantara.
Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Y
News.
News.